Welcome back. Today we are diving into a truly fascinating ancient text, the Book of James. In this explainer, we're going to break down this profound historical manuscript. And what's super unique about it is that it's completely focused on the practical, everyday application of belief. Seriously, if you've ever wondered what a purely action-oriented philosophy looks like in the real world, well, this text is an absolute masterclass. Okay, let's dive right into this. Our roadmap for breaking down this text covers 5 key themes: practical religion, faith and deeds, the power of speech, wealth and poverty, and finally, endurance and heavenly wisdom. Starting us off with Section 1, Introduction to Practical Religion. Right from the opening chapter, the text sets up this very specific premise. James immediately establishes that religion isn't just some passive state of mind or, an internal set of intellectual agreements. Instead, it's an active, physical duty that demands visible results. What's really interesting about this is exactly how it defines true devotion. It strictly defines religion through outward compassion and moral integrity, specifically looking after orphans and widows in their distress and keeping oneself from being polluted by the world. This sets the foundation for the entire manuscript. In this worldview, your belief is ultimately measured by how you treat the most vulnerable people in society. As we look a bit deeper into human behavior, James offers this really intriguing psychological breakdown of human failure. The text points out that people shouldn't blame God when they're tempted. Instead, human failure starts entirely from within. It's a progression. It begins with individual evil desire, which then leads to enticement, which gives birth to sin, and finally, when it's full grown, it results in death. It's literally a deadly chain reaction that places the responsibility squarely on our own everyday choices. Moving right along to Section 2, Faith and Deeds. This brings us to the core thesis of the text, the inseparable relationship between what you believe internally and what you actually do externally. And this brilliantly illustrates his argument with a mirror metaphor. The text states that listening to wisdom without actually doing what it says is exactly like looking at your face in a mirror and then walking away and immediately forgetting what you look like. It's a powerful analogy, right? It really highlights the absolute absurdity of absorbing good wisdom, but completely failing to apply it to your daily life. Which brings us to this incredibly famous thesis statement from the text: as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without deeds is dead. James actually takes this a step further, arguing that even demons believe that God exists, and they shudder. So what does this mean? It means intellectual belief all by itself is entirely insufficient. It is completely empty without action. To prove this point, the text contrasts empty belief with some well-known historical examples. Belief without action is described as completely useless. On the flip side, we have action completing faith, using the ancient figures of Abraham and Rahab. The manuscript argues they were justified by the exceedingly difficult actions they took, like Abraham offering his son Isaac, or Rahab risking her own life to hide spies, not just by what they believed in their heads. That brings us to Section 3, Taming the Destructive Tongue. In this chapter, James deploys an incredible, rapid-fire series of metaphors to warn us about the wildly disproportionate power of human speech. The first metaphor compares the human tongue to a horse's bit. Just think about it for a second. A tiny piece of metal placed in a horse's mouth controls the entire, incredibly powerful animal. James uses this to show how something so unbelievably small can easily direct the whole body. He quickly transitions to another brilliant analogy: the ship's rudder. Massive ships, driven by fierce, powerful winds, are steered by a very small piece of wood at the back, turning the vessel wherever the pilot wants to go. The text emphasizes that, just like this tiny mechanism guides a massive vessel through a storm, human speech guides the entire direction of a person's life. This cascade of metaphors culminates with a really intense warning. Consider what a great forest is set on fire by a small spark. The text argues that the tongue is literally a world of evil among the parts of the body, capable of corrupting the whole person and destroying lives. I mean, praising God in one breath and cursing fellow humans in the next. It's a striking reminder to carefully watch our words. Next up, Section 4, Wealth, Poverty, and Equality. Here, the text shifts into some incredibly harsh social critiques regarding money, favoritism, and how society treats the less fortunate. Consider this scenario. The manuscript describes a situation where a man in fine clothes and a gold ring enters a gathering, followed by a poor man in shabby clothes. If the rich man is given a great seat, and the poor man is told to stand in the corner or sit on the floor, the text calls this out as becoming judges with evil thoughts. So why does this matter today? Well, it forces us to reflect on our own biases. How often do we still judge people's worth or grant them access and privilege based entirely on their outward status or wealth? The text really doesn't hold back here. It levels genuinely stunning condemnations against the wealthy who hoard resources and exploit workers. It uses incredibly vivid, visceral imagery, wealth that has rotted away, clothes eaten by moths, gold and silver corroded. The text even says that the unpaid wages of the workers who mowed their fields are literally crying out to God against them. It's a fierce, almost shocking critique of luxury built on the backs of the oppressed. And finally, Section 5, Endurance and Heavenly Wisdom. Wrapping up, the text contrasts worldly ambition with divine wisdom and introduces a profound call for patience in the face of suffering. So the crucial point is how James contrasts earthly wisdom, which the text says is driven by bitter envy and selfish ambition, inevitably leading to disorder and evil practices, with heavenly wisdom. This divine wisdom is characterized by being pure, peace-loving, and impartial. It completely redefines what it means to be a truly smart or successful person in the eyes of the author. The manuscript actually provides a handy checklist for this heavenly wisdom. It's pure, peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy, impartial, and sincere. You can really frame this as a highly practical guide for how humans ought to interact with one another. What you should take away from this is that true wisdom isn't about being the loudest or the richest person in the room. It's about cultivating peace and acting with genuine mercy toward others. To encourage readers who are trying to live this out, James offers a really beautiful analogy of the patient farmer. The text urges people to persevere through difficult trials, just as a farmer steadfastly waits for the autumn and spring rains to yield a valuable crop. You simply can't rush the harvest. The message here is that steadfast patience through suffering eventually brings a promised crown of life. And I want to conclude today's explainer by leaving you with this haunting, provocative question drawn directly from chapter 4 of the text. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Wow, it's a powerful reality check about the brevity of our time here. If our lives are just a mist, the urgency to act on our beliefs, to help the vulnerable, and to live out a practical, active faith isn't tomorrow, it's right now. So what will you do with your mist? Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the book of James. And until next time, keep exploring and keep learning.